Sure. Hi, my name is Chris Dermody. I'm from Denver Water in Colorado in the U.S. Who is going to host the overall GEOS environment? Who's going to fund it? Or will it be a collaboration of contributors?
Good question, Chris. Right now, as an intergovernmental mechanism, it's largely countries that are coming together. Of our 90 member countries, 19, we're a voluntary organization, so 19 or 20 make contributions to the trust fund, our GEO Trust Fund, and that's how we are currently funded. There are a few big countries who are anchor tenants, I would say. European Commission, the United States, China, South Africa, and Japan are the largest funders of our operation. For much of the infrastructure that you see, whether it's CNR's infrastructure or ESA's infrastructure, we've got European Commission funding going in through their Framework 7 or Horizon 2020 project for funding that. But one of the big exercises as we look to the future is an operational GCI, GEOS Common Infrastructure, and so we expect to have a plan in place by our next ministerial, which is November 2015, for longer-term funding for those operational components. But voluntary contributions from our member countries and participating organizations right now. And of course, all the data that you saw in the cloud are the contributing organizations. USGS is funding its infrastructure. ESA, European Space Agency, JAXA, all those individual organizations are already hosting that data, and so we are just discovering it and then accessing it. So much of the expenditures are country by country, okay? And will continue into the future.
Thank you. That makes good sense. So one quick follow-up. Does that suggest that your overall infrastructure from a hosting perspective will be ultimately, I don't want to use a word patchwork, but a shared environment of many different hosting organizations, kind of a collaborative hosting environment?
Yeah, certainly that will be the cornerstone as we go into the future. Now, because that's where the data is. So you want to keep the data resident with those experts. It's their data. They've got metadata. They've got archiving. They've got QA/QC procedures. So it's really important to keep the data custodianship with those custodians. You'll look at that graph. There are some key components that we want to make sure we keep. Our website, the GEOS portal, and the interoperability agreement mechanism. But that's pretty much it for the infrastructure.
Yeah, very cool.
Okay?
Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you. Dan's taking control of the question mic there. Sorry, Dan, you're going to be running around a little bit, hopefully. Any other questions from the crowd? Yes, please, sir.
Hello, this is Martin Eisenberg from Rapid Lasso, and I really hate putting Paula on the spot here. You seem such a nice person, but you do wear the ESRI badge, and you come on stage talking about embracing open data and interoperability, but at the same time is releasing proprietary formats, pushing them out aggressively into the market that totally sabotage this. I know you're not the decision maker there, but what do you say to that?
Thank you very much. I welcome the question. I like to answer you by giving you a bit of my past experience. I've been working 12 years in the UN as a geospatial analyst for agencies such as FAO and World Food Programme. And in case of emergencies, UN deploys billions of dollars in cases of Haiti, Philippines, you mentioned typhoons, earthquake. And the first thing that is deployed is emergency telecommunication, right? Emergency telecommunication is there to facilitate communication. But communication about what? Where is essential. And I've been doing research in my previous UN life about the cost of this emergency telecommunication that is essential to facilitate the communication, but relying on an infrastructure that is Inmarsat, Thuraya, Iridium companies, they're private companies, is a robust telecommunication infrastructure. There are $50,000 per month per organization that goes into telecommunication, and even more. That's the minimum. So as a lot of money is spent on telecommunication, allowing telecommunication, as essential as that, it needs to be the infrastructure of where, right? So ESRI is heavily investing in open data. All you get into the ArcGIS Online, it's open data. Landsat 8, you can go and get it and use it without any account. You have access to all formats of data, WMS OGC, WMS KML. So what I like to say with my answer here is that it's essential that the community benefit of the ongoing technology that ESRI is providing, is investing in research, in developing economy of countries, because private sector does develop economy in countries. It's not a devil, private sector is good. You go to our office in Nairobi, you'll see 50 young GIS guys who have capacity, they have their hands in all of the technology. Private sector brings development in the countries. And as ESRI, we work in more than 80 countries, we're more than 10,000 people everywhere, developing capacity, economy, and providing to UN, international organizations, a reliable, strong infrastructure that does not fail. It cannot fail when you have an earthquake. Where are the people who have been under which house? Where are they? If you can communicate, well, yes, but the where is essential. And your assessment on, I think it would be good to further discuss it, because really it is so much that goes on from ESRI to push on open data. And please, I really encourage you to visit our rgis.com, because you'll be surprised. You'll be very pleased to see and access all of those information. Thank you.
It was a long monologue, but you sort of circumvented my actual question, which was about open formats. Mm-hmm. Open formats. That was the question.
I'm going to be as the adjudicator of round one. In the blue corner there's Paolo, and in the red. No, I'm teasing. I think let's continue. But I know. Friends, let's make love, not war. We can continue the conversation afterwards, if I may, because I've been getting tweets sent through to me whilst we've been sat here, and I've got questions from people who have been aware of today's launch. But before I give them a voice, are there any others that would like to? May I? Oh, thank you.
Thank you very much, Stefan Jensen from the European Environment Agency. I can congratulate you to this initiative to encourage app developers to develop against the GCI. What I have been missing from the current presentation, and I think it's a recommendation that you publish this as part of this process, that you really describe how a developer can go, technically speaking, against the GCI to develop such things. So the GCI has some exchange points, some technical formats against which one can program things, and I think that would be very useful to have published to the audience, which is, I understand, not necessarily only here in this room, but outside, and you will broadcast this through the web. So I think this is an important starting point to see how you can interact with the GCI, because mainly I think the idea is to interact with the GCI and not with the interesting other technologies which were explained here, even though this also adds to the common goal of having more data available and value at them. Thank you.
Absolutely great question, and you're not the only one to ask that question. I know the man who can answer it. He sat over there. Also, on the geoappathon.org website, you'll see that there's a kind of list of frequently asked questions that people can go and have a look at, and that can answer some of them. But let our resident expert offer an insight.
Okay, so my presentation was covering part of this. I mean, of course, not everything, because in just 10 minutes you cannot go into all the details, but the idea was exactly this, to start explaining and giving some, contacts for being able to interact with the GCI and the Discovery and Access Broker. So if I got it right, the presentations will be published on the Appathon website, and from there you have contacts. You can ask people and have all the information which are needed. You can use several web services. You can use APIs, client-side libraries, and so on and so forth.
Does that answer your question, sir? Brilliant. So there was a very similar question posted in. Another one, I think maybe you should hold on to the microphone for a second, and maybe between you and Guido, you can answer it. One of the questions that came through was, this is all great. I could spend months swimming in data sets. What's the most popular data sets that are being searched for, and why?
Well, we are collecting this kind of, let's say, metrics of the usage of the GCI, and we are going to analyze them. So far, I don't have the answer right now.
Honesty is the best policy.
Yeah, but we are collecting what users are searching for, what users are most interested in, so the most clicked, entries, and soon we will publish some statistics about this.
Brilliant.
And those statistics will be obviously available from the GEOS portal homepage, and so you will just click on those items that have been most popularly used by users.
You have the tech cloud, right? That's what we see here. That should be the most popular searches.
Yeah,
correct.
So there's going to be additional. So we've got some popular searches here. And then your further analytics will point people to specific data sets. It's brilliant, fabulous. Are there any other questions from within the room? We've got a couple more from outside the room as well. Anyone got a burning question from inside the room? Okay, forever hold your peace for a moment. One of the questions that came in from outside was for okay. What's the best way to give feedback to OGC?
Well, it depends. Feedback on what?
When people developing their apps and they've got some insight that might be useful, or
so either they just if they already discovered the working group, the standards, or the domain working group that is of relevance, they can directly contact the chairs or talk to OGC staff. That in Europe, that would be me, my colleague Bart Latauer. We have Denise McKinsey. You find the contact data of all my colleagues on our website. Another opportunity is, of course, to talk to OGC members, and there are many of them here at the conference. But the easiest way is talk to me, and I help you to get feedback to the working groups, or connect you to the experts there.
Perfect. Okay, and just one last question before we head off for coffee, and also I want to sort of describe a little bit about next steps. Dino, your journey's been fascinating, and congratulations. I know you've won some seed funding for you've won investment for your business and this kind of stuff. Right now, there's 30 teams from 14 different countries which have already registered to take part in the Appathon, and I think we're really delighted with that before we've even launched the process. And there's going to be these people are going to face some serious obstacles, right? You've been through some of this growing pain and what it feels like. Mm-hmm. Could you share with the audience and the people who will be playing this back to what you think some of the key barriers they might face and what they need to think about to overcome them?
Yeah, I mean, always as you are growing a business as a startup, you have difficulties in just getting things off the ground and kind of go through the first few months or even a few years of hard work and just working day and night to get something out and then get feedback. So I would suggest that the best thing would be to kind of get something out as quickly as possible and get the feedback from your users or the targeted audience as quickly as possible and iterate early. Because we have lots of companies building products that they have think of in their heads, keep that closed for 1 year and then release it on a big day and think that now everybody will buy it. But basically, then they only learn about their customers and if there is a fit between the product and the market. So GIS definitely could be applicable in many verticals and maps, and especially for non-consumers, for enterprises that could then leverage this kind of technologies. So personally, or my company, we are there to help and with the technology and also with our experience. So